Today's lesson is going to be about the revolution within you. Today's lesson is going to be about the need for a spiritual evolution in order to prepare for the political revolution. We have a lot of addiction in our community. We have a lot of depression in our community. We have a lot of anger and spite in our community. We have a lot of suicide in our community. One of the biggest issues that we suffer from as a race, and I'm speaking about the entire Pan-African family. I'm speaking about the entire Pan-African family. I'm speaking about the entire Pan-African family. One of the things that we don't talk about enough that have to be addressed is the spiritual starvation of African people. The spiritual starvation of African people, the spiritual thirst of African people. What is the word they use when there is hunger? What's the word they use when there's an epidemic of hunger? When a lot of people are going hungry for a long period of time, what is the word that they use? When a large group of people go hungry for a long period of time, what is the word that they use? I need that word. But Black people are in a spiritual crisis. Let me tell you why so many of us are so unhappy, so unpeaceful, and so enslaved to negative emotions. Let's talk about a famine. Thank you, family. Thank you, Brother Tommy Allen. Thank you, Sister Tahira Akwa. Thank you, Maya Ann. Thank you, Janelle Nicole. Mason Molapo. Thank you. Ballhead. Thank you. Famine. Black people are spiritually famished. We are a spiritually famished people. Let's talk about why. We understand that white supremacy creates the conditions and the circumstances that gives rise to stress in African people. We understand that white supremacy creates the circumstances and the situations that give rise to stress in the African family. However, the circumstances and the conditions, the contextual factors that white supremacy places in the Black community and in the lives of Black people are not sufficient to lead to spiritual famine unless we cooperate with it. Now, the European, by nature, is a spiritually dysfunctional man. The Neanderthal race is a spiritually dysfunctional race. They are born into this world without a pineal gland, or should I say with a calcified pineal gland. Their lack of melanin prevents them from reaching higher levels of spiritual consciousness. The European can intellectualize spiritual liberation. The European can philosophize spiritual liberation. The European can study and masturbate intellectually about spiritual liberation, but he cannot achieve it. I'm going to say it again. The European, I don't care how much Buddhism he studies and practices. I don't care how much Hinduism he studies and practices. I don't care how much Islam he studies and practices. I don't care how much of the Hebrew faith he studies and practices. I don't care how much Christianity he studies and practices. I don't care how much traditional African religion he studies and practices. He will never achieve spiritual liberation as a race. He cannot. His melanin composition is not sufficient enough. His melanin composition is not sufficient enough in order for him to experience the higher levels of spiritual consciousness. This is exactly why he is so destructive to human life in existence. This is exactly why he is so neurotic about the domination of resources. This is why he is so obsessed with absolute power. And it is because his spiritual dysfunctionality, his biological backwardness prevents him. It literally has cursed him with the inability to achieve spiritual liberation. The problem with us as Africans, lies in the fact that we are trying to imitate, integrate, and assimilate amongst a spiritually toxic people. Let me repeat this. The central challenge of African people, I don't care if you in Africa, I don't care if you in Europe, I don't care if you in Asia, the Caribbean, Australia, Canada, Central and South America. The problem with Africans, we are trying to integrate, assimilate, and amalgamate with a spiritually dysfunctional people. And to achieve your integration, assimilation, amalgamation, you have selected a strategy of complete imitation. The African, the oldest man and woman on the planet, the African, the oldest man and woman on the planet, is trying to imitate and replicate the youngest man and woman on the planet. The oldest man and woman on the planet are trying to replicate the youngest man and woman on the planet. Imagine a great-grandparent imitating their 2-year-old grandchild. Imagine a great-grandparent imitating their 5-year-old grandchild. Imagine a great-great-grandparent imitating their 1-year-old grandchild. If you saw a 70-year-old person trying to imitate a 7-year-old, if you saw an 80-year-old trying to imitate an 8-year-old, you would think they were out of their mind. You would think that they were out of their minds. But that is exactly what we do as African people every day. We replicate and imitate the European because we have been convinced psychologically that they are the status quo of excellence. They are the vanguard of higher civilization. because we have totally lost knowledge of self. We have totally lost knowledge of self, and in losing knowledge of self and forgetting who we are and who we are supposed to be, and forgetting where we come from and what our purpose on the planet is, we have reduced ourselves to the level of imitation and replication of a spiritually deficient people. How can you be happy? How can you be progressive? How can you be at peace replicating a spiritually dysfunctional people? And these spiritually dysfunctional people have convinced us that the pursuit of money and materialism is the supreme goal of human life. Lord have mercy. Ashe to the ancestors. Ashe to the ancestors. These spiritually deficient people have convinced us that the pursuit of money and materialism is the supreme goal of human life. So you have one people, the Africans, and over here you have another people, the Europeans. They are biologically different. They are anthropologically different. They are historically different. They are culturally different. They are psychologically different. They are metaphysically different. They are biologically different. They are neurologically different. And the problem that the African has is the African is forgetting that his spiritual nutritional needs are not the same as the European. The problem that we are making as God's chosen people, African people are God's chosen people. African people are God's chosen people. African people are God's chosen people. And the problem we are making as African people is we are failing to understand that our spiritual nutrition, our spiritual needs, the spiritual need of the black man and woman is totally different from the European man or woman. You cannot go 24 hours without having a conversation with your ancestors. They can. If you do it, you become unbalanced and sick. You cannot go a whole week without having a conversation with your creator. They can do it. But if African people go a whole week without a spiritual conversation with your creator, you fall out of balance and you get sick. African people cannot go without offering up charitable deeds and acts of kindness, because your soul demands that you feed the souls of other people. So by not serving, service is a spiritual nutrition for African people. Service is a spiritual nutrition for African people. Service is a spiritual nutrition for African. You have to serve. We are put here to serve. Not only the creator, but the creator's people. Not only the creator, but the creator's planet. Not only the creator, but the creator's world. If African people don't serve, we get sick. We get spiritually sick. I've never done therapy with an adult. And I've never done life coaching with an adult whose presenting problem was not in some way related to selfishness. Selfishness is the opposite of service. Selfishness is the opposite of service. Selfishness is the opposite of the European can afford to be selfish. I understand his selfishness. The selfishness of the Neanderthal grows out of his caveman inheritance. The selfishness of the Neanderthal grows out of his psychobio-climatology. The psychobio-climatology of ancient Europe is totally different from the bio-psycho-climatology of ancient Africa. The European was traumatized by the ice. The African was blessed by the sun. The European was traumatized by the ice. The African was blessed by the sun. The European was traumatized by the ice. The African was blessed by the sun. So much of our unhealthiness, comes from the fact that we are a spiritually rich people. Part of our unhealthiness comes from the fact that we are a spiritually rich people who have taken to imitating a spiritually deficient people. I need you to understand, overstand, understand. I need you to understand, overstand, and understand. Brother Jose.
Hey, sir. How are you doing today?
Peace and love, good brother. You got any time to slide by today?
I will definitely come down today. What time are you looking today?
As soon as possible. How soon can you get here?
What's the address again?
601 East 17th Street, Wilmington. We're right around the corner from the Boys and Girls Club. 601 East 17th Street, Wilmington, Delaware.
Plug it in my GPS real quick, see how far away I am here. I'll head out here shortly. And then what do you want to go over again? That makeup there?
Yes, sir. I need you to look at two things, Brother Jose. The first thing is the HVAC unit on our small gym has to be switched out.
Okay.
The company that produced the existing unit can replicate another unit.
Okay.
I just need to find a tech who is able to replace the unit when the new one has completed production, which will take about 60 days, the company has told me. So I need you to look at it. Let me know if you can do it and what will the cost be for you to remove this old one, put the new one in, and the new one is going to look identical to the old one, but it's a more modern version.
Gotcha. Now, are you guys buying the unit?
We're going to buy the unit.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so that's number one. I want you to look at that. Number two is on the small school, Brother Jose.
Yep.
We have a roof unit that has to be replaced.
Okay.
We've already got the new unit produced.
Okay.
It is sitting in storage, but I have not been able to find a tech who can get the permit, block off the street, bring the crane, lift the new unit up on top of the school, tie it all in. So that unit has been sitting. It was delivered on November the 1st.
And that's what we do. So.
And it's been sitting there for 3 months, Jose. So, and it's the same unit. All we did was order a replica of what's up there because it was custom made.
Right. Do you know if it came with is the curve identical, or do you know if it came with like an adapter curve too?
I'm not sure because it went straight to storage, and I'll share with you where that is. But it's supposed to be identical. It's supposed to be identical to the one up there. It is at a crane yard, and I have the address. It's not far from the school.
Perfect. I'm about a half hour away from there. Let me see if I can get a hold of my tech real quick to come down with me and maybe he can look at it with me.
Okay.
And we'll have a better idea. Two heads are better than one.
Yes, sir.
Let me see what I can do, and if not, then maybe I'll just come down myself.
No problem. No problem. I'm here waiting on you. Keep me posted.
Cool.
Okay. Thanks, Jose. All right. Thank you. Yes, yes, brothers and sisters. We trying to get the school done. We trying to get the school done, brothers and sisters. This is a new HVAC tech. This is a new HVAC tech. Can you hear me on Instagram? Can you hear me on Instagram? Can you hear me on Instagram? I'm off the phone. Instagram, give me a thumb up. Instagram, give me a thumb up. Can you hear me on Instagram? Can you hear me on Instagram? No sound. Instagram, can you hear me? Facebook, bear with me. Instagram is saying they can't hear me. No sound. So I guess when I took the phone call, Instagram lost sound. So I'm going to restart Instagram. Let me restart Instagram. Bear with me, Facebook. I'm going to restart Instagram. Okay, we back. Instagram, I apologize. I had to take a phone call. So I guess whenever I take a phone call, it automatically takes the sound away. I thought you guys were still able to hear me. So let me give y'all a quick HVAC update, and I'm going to get back into my message on spiritual starvation amongst African people. Let me get back into my message on spiritual starvation, but let me first give y'all an HVAC update. Let me give y'all HVAC update. I was supposed to meet my HVAC tech last week. He had to cancel. He had a situation. I was supposed to meet my HVAC tech this morning. He is a black man. He is a brother. He did not show up. So I'm sitting here outside the school because my black HVAC tech, still my brother, still love him, but he did not show up. So now I am going to Latino brothers. Okay. And I need the Latino brother to come take a look at the HVAC situation to see if he can get this done. The HVAC unit for the school is sitting in storage, ready to go immediately. HVAC unit for the gym, I have not ordered it yet because I want to make sure the HVAC tech agrees that that's what we need to do. So that is the situation. We doing the best we can. We trying the best we can. 3 years and we're still not ready. It's very disappointing. But I have to remind myself that nothing can happen before its designated divine time. As much as I want this school to be ready, as much as I thirst for the completion of the Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey Academy, we as African people need to remain conscious of the fact that there is a divine design that will not allow things to manifest before the appropriate time. It took us almost 6 years to find a school, but we found it. It took us almost 6 years to find a school, but we did find it. For a long time, I never thought we would find a school. They shut me down in Detroit. They shut me down in Mount Vernon, New York. They shut me down in Trenton, New Jersey. They shut me down from buying a school in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Chicago, they would not call me back. Ohio, they shut me down from getting to school right outside of Cleveland. So for a long time, I didn't think we would ever find a school. It took us almost 6 years, but we finally got a school. And it was worth the wait because we have 2 schools, 4 buildings, 2 gyms. It took us 6 years, but we got 2 schools, 2 gyms, 4 buildings. And although it's been 3 years of renovation, although I don't know why the ancestors are delaying this project, I don't know why the Most High won't manifest the help or the resources that we need to get the school done right now. I have to remain patient. There is a divine time for everything. There is a divine time for everything. There is a divine time for everything. So getting back to the conversation on spiritual nutrition. And as we have this conversation, we have some spiritually deficient Neanderthals all in the Instagram post. And we have some spiritually deficient Negroes all in the Instagram posts. You cannot be angry at a person or people who is fulfilling their function in this world. You cannot be angry at a people who are fulfilling their divine appointment in this world. I don't know why God created the Neanderthal. I don't know why the ancestors allowed the Neanderthal to take black glory away from Africans. I don't know the answer to that. But I do know that I have no right to get angry at the Neanderthal nation for carrying out their divinely appointed responsibility. I cannot get angry for the Neanderthal nation for carrying out their divinely appointed mission. In other words, the Neanderthal was created to sabotage the African's destiny to achieve supreme consciousness as a race of people. I'm going to say this again.